In this tutorial, we will have a look at using Pathfinder to create some paper clips. We will start by using a rounded rectangle. If I start to draw my rounded rectangle here, you can see that actually it has quite rounded corners. Remember that we can use the left key to make it totally square, the right key to make it totally rounded, and the down or up arrows to change how rounded it is. A paperclip has very rounded edges, so we're going to start with a very rounded rectangle, like so. This paperclip has a white fill and a black stroke at the moment. I'm going to change that so that it has no fill and is therefore transparent. And what that means is that when we move the paperclip over something else, we should be able to see through it to what's behind. Now, a paperclip goes round in a little bit of a spiral, so I need to have another smaller section here that can fill in the inside. So the first thing I'm going to use is Alt and drag to make a copy of the clip that I have so far. And then I need to chop off part of this. So I'm going to do that by placing a rectangle in front. And then I need to have the Pathfinder window available. So Window, Pathfinder, brings up my Pathfinder tools. I'm going to select my paperclip and rectangle that's in front. Now if I tried to chop with minus front, I would end up with this. It would have a line across the bottom, which is not what I'm looking for. So I'm going to undo that. What I really need to do is go to Outline. Outline will turn this into 3 separate parts. If I highlight the top part there, and in fact I'm going to have to highlight all of it, so I'm going to double click on this to go into edit mode. I'll maybe just send the stroke back. So stroke needs to be black to fit with what I had before. And I probably should have created something that was a bit thicker to start with. I'll maybe take this up to 6 point, and I'll take this and make it 6.2. So we have a nice thick paperclip. Now this shape here is made up of separate parts. If I double click on it, I go into isolation mode. So everything else is grayed out and only the paperclip is now available. And you'll see that actually it's made up of a line across the middle, the original rectangle as a shape, and then we're left with a top and a bottom. So all parts of the shape have been exploded into their own individual lines. Now what we want to do is to take this top part here. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to come out back to layer 1, so I'm coming out of isolation mode, and I'm going to paste back in again. So if I move this over here, and then using the side tool here just to stretch it in a little bit, maybe a little bit more to leave a tiny gap, then this is my paperclip shape, which it's not a brilliant paperclip, but it's I'm happy enough with that. And I can pick this and get rid of all the other parts that were there. The last thing I have to do so that these are joined together is to highlight them and group them together. So I'm going to drag a box around both parts and then go to Object and Group. And we now have a single object paperclip. Now it's a bit on the big side compared to these pages and folders at the moment. So I'm going to shrink it down. Remember, if you hold the Shift key down as you're shrinking, you will proportionally constrain it. And that has ended up with a very thick outline. So I'll just take it down here. There is a better way of doing the scaling down, but I'll just take that down to maybe a size of 3 point rather than 6 points, and it's about half the size. Okay. Now I could use Alt drag to make some copies of my paperclip, but that's a little bit manual and tedious, so I'm going to try a slightly different approach here. I'm coming up to the Symbols tab over here, and this is for completed shapes that I want to be able to use. And I'm going to drag my shape and I'm going to drop it into the Symbols palette. And it asks me if I want to make a new symbol. I'm going to just call it clip, and I can probably just say OK to that. So I now have a paperclip in my Symbols palette. And what this will let me do is to use the symbol sprayer. So the symbol sprayer looks like a little spray can. And if I now take my spray can and spray around the page, you can see it's produced a whole bunch of paperclips, all based on this same symbol. I can also go in here and make some changes. So I can take the symbol spinner tool and I can just drag around and rearrange the direction of some of these clips. So it gives a little bit of a random spin. I can also go in here and I can use the symbol stainer tool. And I need to pick a color for this. So I would pick, let's see, maybe if I was to go to red. And I'm not sure that that's, oh, sorry, that was a red fill. So I need to go back to here and choose a red stroke. And yeah, that's not really doing much. The symbol stainer tool works best with fills rather than with strokes. There are a few other things we can do with the symbol stainer, with the symbol tool. We can shift some around, we can change the size, and we can make some of them faded in and faded out, for example. I'm going to use the sizer tool, and I'll just maybe grab some of these here. They become huge. If I use the Alt key, and I can shrink them down and make them smaller. So we've got some small paper clips and some big paper clips. So the symbol sprayer tool is very, very helpful for scattering around various copies of a symbol without taking up very much extra memory. So all of the original symbols reference the first version that was put into the symbol palette. And there we have our scene. So we have a folder, a page, and some paper clips, and that is what you will be assessed on.